Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Sirius Report. My name is Ken Shorgen, and today there's an interesting bill that has come out in the state of Florida, the Florida legislature, that addresses something that personally I have been talking about primarily on Twitter and a few other social media platforms, so not necessarily here, although I probably brought it up back in the day on a number of other podcasts with maybe the Sirius Report Plus or whomever, back with V and the like. But the reality is after 2008, we saw the banks get bailed out. But the banks then, with over 4 million foreclosures, didn't dump them like the law specified they did, or they should. What they did instead is they created the hedge funds that they funded or controlled. And those hedge funds bought the homes from the banks, so the banks got their cash, and the banks also then got to control the real estate. And so that's why in 2009, you saw so many different entities, the short sales, the foreclosures, whatever, and it was a really great time to buy housing, primarily because home prices had fallen by 40% from their highs in the first housing bubble. And then we also had it was this entering into the 0% interest, or ZIRP, that was taking place in the US, and you could get really real estate at a really good price. But of course, many individuals who had gone through foreclosures, short sales, they didn't have the credit rating to be able to buy homes. And many who had lost their homes were despondent from wanting to buy a home again. Enter now into the new era of housing. Well, of course, we have the big hedge funds, the private money managers, and they have bought hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of homes to use as rentals, finding a new asset class in this world of financialization. So one of the things I had been preaching is that Congress needed to, and the states needed to pass a law that said residential property, we're talking just single family homes, not multifamily homes like apartment complexes, not commercial real estate, but just single family homes. They need to be purchased by an individual or by a family trust where there would be a limitation on how many homes they could buy. The concept of flippers buying homes and then selling them for a much higher price or to do the rentals, that was something that was sort of going by the wayside in an era when you suddenly have 4 million people who have lost their homes. You have a whole number who have been trying to buy homes but could never afford it, entering into a cycle when the Fed was going to start pumping out cash and credit and just currency by the tens, if not hundreds of trillions of dollars, raising the capability for many to then start buying homes again. But there has been this block because many of the homes, of course, were owned by the big hedge funds and money managers. Well, like I said, my thought was that Congress or the states need to pass a law regarding this, and it looks like finally, here in 2025, when housing is at its worst, we may start seeing states start to do this. Let me find the House bill. House bill filed last week would limit corporations and investment firms from buying up single-family homes and converting them to rentals, giving local governments the authority to restrict investor-owned housing. The Strengthening Home Ownership in Florida Act, HB 401, seeks to protect home ownership opportunities by keeping more properties in the hands of individual buyers. Now, what's the whole purpose behind this? It is not going to change the fact that we now have mortgage rates up at 6 or 7%, but it is likely to massively expand the supply of homes. And it's kind of interesting, just on a side note, if the Trump administration does succeed in getting millions of illegal aliens out of the country, there's going to be a whole swath of property, residential homes, that are going to be open for sale. Now, everything today is based on, because we are pretty much a credit-based system, everything is based on monthly payment. Can you afford the monthly payment? Can you afford the PITI, the insurance, etc.? Well, because you have home prices at all-time highs, because you have mortgage rates at let's say 20 to 25-year highs, it is impossible for the average person to afford a monthly payment to buy a home. So if it's going to take a while before you get mortgage rates down because of inflation, just like we saw in the 1980s or the late 70s into the early 80s, what is the one way that you can bring down so people can afford it with a monthly cost? The other way, of course, is to expand the supply without having big money corporations or hedge funds being able to pay well above the value of the home to drive out any competition. And with that supply, you bring down and lower the cost of the value of the home. So then the monthly payment is down, the insurance is down, because instead of doing insurance on a home that in reality is worth about $170,000, but is currently going for $550,000 because of inflation, if you lower that price, the buying price, then the insurance won't be as high, of course, because they're insuring a $170,000 mortgage, or say even a $250,000 mortgage versus a $550,000 mortgage. I'm sure many here understand the mathematics and the finance regarding that, but the reality is that take a look at what happened in China a few years back. China had a problem with a housing bubble. Theirs is a little bit more unique because it wasn't corporations and hedge funds who were driving up the prices. It's the fact that in China, a Chinese family, their home is their investment. And in many of these cities that were expanding quite a bit, the price of the homes were going sky high, so there wasn't the opportunity for new families and new buyers to get the homes. China came in and broke that up and has slowly started to divest the individual citizen in China to stop thinking of their home as an investment, but instead look for other investments at a time, especially where the Chinese people do not really invest in equities. They're not stock buyers like we are here. They're not cryptocurrency buyers. And so this is one of the other reasons, on a side note, China is buying, and the Chinese people are buying gold hand over fist. So you can't take one necessary region of the world and one market the exact same way. In Europe, as the United States, there are a lot of similarities, but the reality is that you need to provide the supply at a cost that communities and regions can afford. And hopefully this bill in Florida will just be the start of something that might come out of Congress in regards to this, and get the corporations and hedge funds out, as well as the banks, from manipulating residential housing and allow it to be affordable, which should have been the intention when they created the Fair Housing Act many decades ago. Anyway, just want your thoughts on this. I know it's a little bit on the side, an anecdotal thing that we look at, but the reality is it's important as the world is changing and the finance is changing, and maybe it's something that has an effect on you and your family or community. I want to thank you as always for being a part of the Sirius Report community. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, send this out to anybody you think might be important to, and until the next time we get together, have a great day.